The great Oz has spoken. Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has spoken.
Who are you?
Oh, I am the great and powerful Wizard of Oz.
You are? I don't believe you.
No, I'm afraid it's true. There's no other wizard except me. You humbug! Yes, exactly so. I'm a humbug.
Oh, you're a very bad man.
And their link is in the description if you want.
I saw you toss the kites on high above the birds about the sky, and all around I heard you pass like lady skirts across the grass. Oh, wind a blowing all day long. Oh, wind that sings so loud a song. I saw the different things you did, but always you yourself you hid. I felt you push, I heard you call, I could not see yourself at all. Oh, wind a blowing all day long. Oh, wind that sings so loud a song. Oh, you that are so strong and cold to blow, where are you, young or old? Are you a beast, a field and tree, or just a stronger child than me? Oh, wind a blowing all day long. Oh, wind that sings so loud a song.
Relevance realization, today's leading distributor of sense and cognition, a framework that helps you focus on relevant aspects of the world while ignoring irrelevant information. Relevance realization, turning ill-defined problems into well-defined problems. I don't know what the prompt was here, but this is like, I think one of the last. Really, the link that's in the description. Let's try it again. Copy, paste. I did it again, so there's that. All right, well, I don't remember what the prompt was here. But this is one of the last stories. Yeah, this is the second to last in the collection that Ann and I made. Come on in, he said, holding the door open. I moved past him quickly, careful not to look him in the eye. Take a seat. I sat down, scanning the pictures on the walls. The one over his left shoulder was taken just after we were leaving our fort in the woods. Just as we got done telling great stories and began to walk home, a board fell. Or ghost stories. Yeah, okay. Try this again. Come on in, he said, holding the door open. I moved past him quickly, careful not to look him in the eye. Have a seat. I sat down, scanning the pictures on the walls. The one over his left shoulder was taken just after we were leaving our fort in the woods. Just as we got done telling ghost stories and began to walk home, a board fell, startling us with a bang. We had screamed bloody murder, sprinting as fast as we could, adrenaline coursing through our veins. That one over there, next to the old Christmas photo, is the night I came home drunk, standing at the kitchen counter. I was struck with, out of nowhere, with a line, "This new beginning and chance to breathe." I cradle thankfully. What's left to mourn will lie in the wake of a new day. It was literally from out of nowhere. I jotted it down on a paper towel and went to bed and passed out. What can I do for you? He said. An uninterested and sarcastic tone. Jesus, man, you ever clean this place? I mean, there's shit laying all around like from 1989. Picking up a faded Polaroid, I said, The tree kissing Christmas incident? Would you get rid of this all of this already? Well, you never know when you might need that sort of thing, he said, smirking. Now that's when I said, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Remember that sand dune on Monterey with all those succulents going down the side of the hill where Richard would take us? Yeah, I replied. Well, we used that in one of the early ones where the landslide occurred, so take it easy. Fair enough, I said. Again, what can I do for you? I'm in a time crunch and haven't got all day. Not that you'd lavish yourself with such a block of time. Well, I can't really say, I said. Can't or won't? Or can't like some super silliest dream snatcher will rain down from the sky and steal away your precious something? Or can't like you got to take a shit, you don't, or can't talk about it, at least you shit your pants? Can't? God, why do I even try with you? I said. You're off all day doing God knows what, blah, 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 with this or that, and basically only going obsessively over the most irrelevant shit. And now you're in a hurry? I just need some help, man. Well, yeah, that's always the case. Help. I need help, he cried in a mocking and childish manner. Well, are you going to do it or what? I asked. As I was asking him this, he seemed to be quite distracted, half listening, half writing the paper at his desk. Hello, I snapped. Jesus, man, what the hell is going on out there? He asked. I don't know. I'm sure it's not all that serious, I said. Not serious, he cried, staring at me incredulously. 3 minutes, he said. Wait, what? 3 minutes? You have 5 now. You got 3. I don't make the rules, man. Rules? Now there's rules? I asked. This is for this. Now what do you want? Wait. There is for this. Now what do you want? I told you I can't say. It's practically on the tip of my tongue, but can't seem to say it. The television over in the corner of the room was playing something familiar, which caught my attention. You remember this? I said. Which part? The television or what's on it? Both, I said. Of course I remember. As you often forget, I'm quite good at my job, he said, smirking. You sure you can't even remember what we had for dinner last Thursday? That's his job, he said, pointing to his rather starry-looking feeble friend sitting at a desk outside. Well, whatever, but man, I can't believe you remember that. Well, it was a good one, though to forget. Now listen, I'm in a hurry. Here, what can I do for you? Huh? I said. Oh, nothing. Forget about it. I think I've got it now. Well, that was fairly pointless, he said. I got up and said goodbye and was cordially let out. Okay, well, yeah, I think that's I think the prompt was something about there's something on the tip of your tongue or something. So, yeah. Oh, the storyteller. See, the problem is my handwriting is so bad I have difficulty reading it. So, the storyteller. He sat alone in the mostly empty diner, thoughtlessly playing with his cold skin. Oh, did I ever? Oh. Oh, yeah, that was the last one we did just recently. I like that one. I don't know. Well, what's happening? Yeah, so that was a story, a little short story about something on the tip of my tongue, and I don't know if I really want to explain it. I guess I'll just play guitar. Hello.
What up, buddy?
Not much, just chilling, man.
Yeah, whoever that was said the link wouldn't work, and I knew it was. I was trying to say, remember those writers back in the day? We'd watch them on TV, and they'd always have those mini recorders in their pocket,
Yeah,
and they would just record into the thing, and then when they get home, they would type them out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. Sometimes that would be a good idea, I think, but mostly I basically have I just keep the stuff and and then it kind of sits in this stew, and then it kind of comes up later.
But you got a good memory like that, huh?
Yeah, at least I used to. So we'll see. I'm kind of writing right now in a weird way. Right now, I'm working on something and just kind of thinking about it, almost in the same way that if you ever watch a movie and it kind of puzzles you, and you just kind of think about it afterwards, and you just kind of think about, what does it mean? What was it? It's kind of like that. But
Well, I'm trying.
Thinking through thinking through the story.
I've
got
a whole story I did. I recorded an audio. I had a dream. I haven't had dreams in years. And it's this whole weird ass story. And I knew I wasn't going to remember it when I woke up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the phone and I just recorded the story as much as I could remember. I wonder if I'll ever go back and try to listen to it and construct it.
Yeah, I mean, dreams are interesting. I used to dream a lot, and I still do from time to time, but my wife has dreams all the time. And
that's so wild.
Yeah.
This was a weird dream. I mean, it literally was a whole narrative. I mean, I never dreamed like that. Like a whole story narrative.
Nice.
So weird.
Do you ever try and play with creative writing?
No, I've never been good at writing ever.
Yeah.
You're really good. I mean, like just I mean the way that you think and the way you dialogue with your characters, the way they dialogue, it's very natural. It's all the fill in that I wouldn't be able to do, like just the little details, like the way you describe things, even if it's funny or unusual, it's very distinct.
Oh, thanks. Well, I mean, when's the last time you tried to write?
I don't know, high school,
Yeah.
35 years ago.
Who is judging the writing?
Probably me.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to really encourage people to, even if that you have this idea in your head that I'm not a good writer, therefore I ought not. I always try to encourage them to pick it up and just give it a shot, and kind of like not view it through a lens of it's a waste of time, but rather it's probably the most precious time spent, potentially. And then, like, when you were a kid, I'm sure you would go out and play with other kids, and well, I don't know what you guys did, but we played in the woods and stuff like that. And like I just try and tap into that spirit, the spirit of the of playing pretend. So when I'm doing creative stuff, I'm pretending to be something, and I just do it. And then what I find is like the actual practice of it is fulfilling.
What do you get? Like, what, like, can you describe? I guess. I guess the experience of thinking like a kid, or what do you get? What do you think? Like, if you could you put into words like what you get out of it when you're doing it?
Well, kind of not really. I think that there's no other place I know how to get into that, or how to experience that kind of that arena, the arena of letting go of letting go of all of the kind of material, concrete worries of the world, and just tapping into the arena of play. So, like in a video game, you play a character, right?
Yeah.
And it's a similar thing, but in the video game, you have goals that you're trying to achieve, usually, and this is I don't know. Do you remember what it was like when you were a kid when you'd go out and play pretend?
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, like we would do we would recreate Indiana Jones scenes, or we
Yeah.
would have a ninja club, and you know, like things like that.
Yeah. We used to we had a couple different places where I mean I lived in a lot of different places, and one of the places was this bowling alley in Racine called Castle Lane Bowling Alley, and there's like these apartments that were the Castle Lane's apartments complexes. I don't know if but they're all in the same kind of cul-de-sac. You go back in there, and you had like a whole bunch of like 5 different buildings made up of 2-story apartment buildings. And then there was like a bowling alley there. In the wintertime, we would go out and there'd be like massive puddles in the parking lot that would freeze over, and um, and we would go out and play hockey back there. Um, and then in the summertime, if we kept going back, there was this like a these woods that were kind of there. It was in the middle of Racine, so Racine is a little bit of a city, but you'll have little like copses of woods sometimes in the city. And one thing that we would do, the best thing about living in an apartment when you're like 10 and 11 years old is that if you go dumpster diving, you can find a lot of cool shit. So
Yeah.
we would find like, and we were all about that. So we'd go in there and uh, find old like windows, blinds for the windows that they would have strings. So we got, each of us had, my brother and I had like Swiss Army knives, and if we walked over to there was a dollar store like a mile away or whatever, and we'd walk to the dollar store and we would buy some electrical tape, and we'd go and we'd take our Swiss Army knives and we'd like make bow and arrows, and
Yeah.
we'd be out in the back of the woods there, and we'd be like making, forts and shit, and people would be running around and playing pretend cops and robbers and stuff. And that kind of play is like, it's like that. I mean, so that's what I like about creative writing for me, is there is something there that I think that's the most fruitful part. And then, hello guys, Bison, Ken, those are the most fruitful parts. But then like right now, I'm considering, I have a couple different things I'm considering, like a couple different stories. And actually, there's a story that I'm writing. There's something that's kind of bubbling that I want to like figure out how to say and how to talk about. And then there's like this grander project idea that I've been kind of thinking about the last couple of weeks, and trying to figure out what and if I should do with it. And so I'm having like these kind of creative pots sitting on the stove, just kind of simmering. But
Do they all seem like you can create threads between them, or are they all isolated?
I don't know. It's interesting. The thing that I just read, there's like 3 things in there that popped up that are constantly seeming to pop up for me. And so in some sense, I must have this place, this creative arena within me that's like decorated with narratives and and so there must be something in there that really shapes kind of the way that I approach the stuff. But yeah, I mean, and sometimes I don't really know like the what exactly I'm trying to do, so right now I'm kind of playing like one of the ideas that I do have is something that I do want to like try to get across or wrestle with, and that's more direct. But I don't like to approach anything in a real direct manner. I want to kind of come at it in like a flanking way, because to me that's like an interesting way to kind of wrestle with some of these things.
Yeah, that's a unique character trait for you, because like just like the idea of a prompt, and like you'll get a word and you're like, okay, that's the prompt. So how can I use this prompt against itself, even though I know what they want, but I'm going to give them something different that still connects to the prompt.
Well, yeah, in a way, but see, like the way that I'm not like saying I'm going to subvert the prompt. What I'm trying to do is actually serve the prompt as it actually is. So, like that, I think that last one, the prompt was there's something on the tip of your tongue. I think that was the prompt. I didn't write the prompt on there, so I can't remember. But after reading it, I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't really address. We never actually figure out what the thing on the tip of the tongue is, right? But what I'm addressing is like that kind of create searching when you're searching for it. I'm addressing consciousness maybe, but I played myself a couple different characters in there, right? There's the guy in the room who I'm trying to talk to, and we everything that I talked about in that thing I just read are all actual memories,
Huh.
and and then I also addressed the guy. There's a guy out in the like the secretary. That's another guy. Those are all parts of me. So playing with that, and that's to me that's serving the prompt well. You know, if the prompt is something on the tip of your tongue, then I want to serve it maximally. I don't want to come at it in a direct way and just kind of this up. You know what I mean? I think like if I'm gonna play if I'm gonna play pretend as a creative, then I want to do that the most kind of free and outlandish way that I can because that's what it means for me to be a creative. I think it's like that's the gift, you know, for me. You know, now other people want to be have their way of doing things too, and I think that that's beautiful, really. Um,
Yeah, it is interesting because I mean, I can write a paper for college, like what Ken was saying. That's totally different than what we're talking about.
yeah,
But you know, the creative aspect, like the only time I ever thought about like writing something that wasn't, you know, like for school for a paper, you know, would have been like a biography or an autobiography or whatever. Um, but you know, I don't know. Like, I don't know if my story is as interesting as I think it is, or
yeah,
maybe there's are some stories in my life that are you know a fun story.
yeah,
But you know how we have our backgrounds and it's like you know chaotic and whatever. But but you know that's like autobiography is not fiction. So like the idea of that's why that dream was really crazy because it really was kind of like it was really fiction. I mean, and it was very I don't want to say science fiction because it wasn't space or anything like that, but it was very I don't know what you call that genre like I don't know, like if you were to write something about the future but doesn't pertain to space,
yeah,
like something kind of like that. And but it had like a it actually had a detective aspect to it, which was interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could write the overall story, but the fill in, the stuff that you do, like with the dialogue between characters and the character expansion, like I just never studied any of that and how to, you know, how to build a character, you know,
yeah,
like to bring the audience along to learn how the character is developed
yeah.
and the importance of that and the best way to go about that.
Yeah. Um, I don't either, actually. I that's why I hold to the idea of I'm playing pretend, and if I do that, then I don't have to really worry about whether I'm failing at it or not. It's only when I really like start to kind of critically analyze whether or not I'm doing it right when I start to trip over myself.
Well, you're a
And
natural, dude. I don't know. Then you don't realize it because you developed those characters for the zine, the detective thing.
yeah,
Now granted, they were based on people and or situations or whatever, but like you were building the identity of the detective. You were building the identity of this priest, like, subtly by you writing these conversations, I was imagining the priest smoking a cigarette. So like I'm starting to construct, this guy, and he's not perfect, but he was rattled, like it's like, so like there's character development that's naturally coming out in the dialogue that you're creating with the characters.
well,
I mean, I get you don't, maybe you're not consciously doing it, but you are doing it.
well, I would say like it's just it's putting on like a creative cosplay. That's it. I mean, it's not really the second bet you can kind of like this is this is what happened when I first started. The reason why I wrote ever wrote anything was I had ideas for a long time about things, and I was talking with this girl, this woman, who I once dated. Excuse me. Around the campfire about this idea that I had, and I said, and I was actually thinking about getting if I can get people to come help me out and writing the stuff, and um, she's like, "Well, just start writing." Right. Well, she ended up becoming my wife eventually. But the thing is because I thought like I had certain ideas about what that should look like or feel like, or there needed to be like, it's weird. Like, I think I had like in my mind what it meant to write was something like the final edit that you experience as when you read. And exactly, Bison right here. Write whatever the hell the character is. And that's right. Like, I don't think there's any kind of like, for me, anyways, especially since I and actually, I think like the fact that I don't have any education around this has really helped. And because my mind isn't like, um, doesn't have barriers and boundaries to keep me in line or to stifle the thing. So I just kind of like treat it like a dreamscape in a way, and then try to um, I really do try to disregard quality altogether and just follow whatever is coming out. Um, I try to do that, and I'm not perfect at discarding quality because I do. I mean, I do have like a conscious um, um, exploration around hoping that it does turn out well. I do want it to be enjoyed, um, but
See,
that
it's so
there's a
weird.
tension there that happens. But because I don't have the technical know-how or whatever, and treat it like it's the actual only technical rules are to do it, then that makes it very accessible for me as somebody who's pretending to be a writer. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's why, like, probably it's so difficult for me to kind of grasp it because, like, in my mind, I feel like I can have a story, but it seems like when I read stories or when I watch movies and there's a story, there's clearly there's a clear underlining thing that's not being said that it's about that um, has a cohesion. through it. Once it's done, there's like this cohesion. It's not very Pulp Fictionist, or like weird. Like I just like it has to have a point in my head. And whereas the artist, the creative, is a little more loose in it, like it's not fully constructed and it's kind of going, and as it's going, it's happening, and you kind of let it happen on its own almost.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's why it's difficult for me to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So this is interesting. Liska says, I write story descriptions that come out like it's an introduction to a movie. See, I kind of like that, but I also sometimes that'll happen. Like sometimes I'll hear a prompt and I can see the story. But then like I'm at a place right now where I haven't been able to really get there. Like I can kind of see it. So I'm kind of treating it like in a weird way, like almost like a medium or a psychic. Like I can see, like is there a Jeff in the story? And what is Jeff kind of like? So I can kind of read a little bit. I can kind of see it there a little bit, and then as I'm playing with it, it takes it starts to take shape, and then it starts to shape itself, which is like the fun of it. Um, like like what happened with the detective story. The I never intended to write anything about the Rod character, the younger cop. That was never something that came after the fact. And but once I had that, like, not it didn't come exactly after the fact. It came later in the thing, and so what it did was it kind of helped shaped a little more of like the consistency of whatever's happening in that story. And um I didn't the Megan character wasn't a central character at all either. All right, dude. My guy. What's happening, dude? Welcome.
Keep going, Chad.
So she wasn't like a primary character either. She was like almost an afterthought, and then for me, she ends up becoming kind of like um a kind of a well. They're all kind of central characters for that particular story because everybody's kind of without giving any spoilers away, everybody is essential in that story, basically. Um, and that really helped. Um, but like there was and Nathan has read both of them, the edited and then the unedited version. And there are some differences, and Anne did the editing, and I think she really made it. She gave it some sparkle that it needed. But like, she was like, one of the critiques that she had initially was like, there's like a little too much stuff going on at the police station. Like some of that is unnecessary. And you don't really need it. It doesn't really serve the story. And I thought, no, I think it needs to be there because I wanted to treat it as if it was like for the Jeff character, I wanted it to be like just a normal day for him. He has no idea what he's about to encounter. And so that's why I wanted to do, and she did a pretty good job of keeping most of it in there, which I was happy with. But that's why I love having her as the editor, because she knows me and she actually knows stories like in a way that I don't understand. And so it's very good that she's there because she can make it be what I hope it to be, I guess, at the end, which is nice. But if you were to look at because I sent, like I said, I sent Nathan both versions. And the unedited version is like it looks like a pile of bricks, like and rubble. But I still, you know, mostly because of spelling errors and like it's stylistically looks like a just like a page, just a block of all, yeah, whatever.
I know what you mean.
Hmm. But I would say, Brett, I would give it a shot, man. You might find that it's an enjoyable experience, and you might find that it's actually something that you are actually good at if you treat it like it's um, a place to kind of step away from the pressures of reality, I guess.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm not gonna lie. When you started when everything was we were talking about stories, and you know how I am about the imaginary. I'm not like an uber fan of it all, but I gotta be honest. I mean, I'm definitely curious about challenging myself and saying, why don't you try to remember what it was like to be a kid? Why don't you try to play a little bit, you know, and see what, I don't know, God can do through it. Just not necessarily with the story, but just with who I am.
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah, Brett, you have a strong. I don't know. Can you guys hear me? I don't know what's going
yeah,
Yeah.
a little
on. All right.
quieter, but yeah.
Oh, I don't know what
You're
I can
good.
do.
You're good.
Okay. Okay. Um. Well, Chad, I feel like you're in the sweet spot. Like favorite writers that we share tend to have found an editor that sticks with them all their life, and therefore both knows them inside to whatever degree one can, and outside. Like I mean, I just think of all my favorite writers, and they found some editor. Like when I think of it, what Anne does to your stories, it's finesse, right? Like it's because
Yeah.
they're enough outside that they can see what serves the story and what is just shit Chad needs to process,
Mhm.
right? And then pull them both together. So you get to still process it, but they also can shape it towards this is better for the story you're telling.
Mhm.
With Brett, with you, I love what you said about I always would like there to be a point to a thing. Like I put a link in the chat about perhaps art creating us a little bit more than we create art, and you might like it. I don't know, um, but I do think about that. Like when you talked about what was it, disc golfing or whatever with B, that kind of place where you run into those, what would you call it, edges of purposiveness and play.
Mhm.
And so, you're going to tend to hope that it has a meaning and a purpose and a point, and God might use it and blah, blah, blah. I don't really care about that side. I mean, what I'm thinking is like what you just said about how to be interesting to, I can't remember how you said it, remember to be a child or play or whatever. Those are perfect kinds of things to just take out paper. You tell wonderful stories all the time about how it was when you were growing up, or parking lot, bike, ramping. Maybe it's Scott. I don't know. I might get you confused, but you know what I mean? Like, try to write them because, like, my part in this, where I differ, at least so far, with Chad is it's like I'm not very story oriented at all or point oriented. It's like what happens when I put my whatever utensil I choose onto some kind of surface, what starts happening? It could be drawing, it could be words, it could be letters, it could be, but I think that itself does something. Sort of like walking instead of uh, looking, or sort of like listening instead of reading, or all those, like you're activating a different modality, even if you're just drawing diagrams or symbols or shit you don't even know what it means. But the activity itself is like another expansion of the potential. I don't know. I might be talking BS, but
No, I
and
think
Chad has been very good at. He's a very good critic. That's what I'll say.
What did you put in the chat? I don't see it.
Oh, it would be on YouTube because I was watching while I needed to eat. It was a long day. On YouTube, when I first got on, I think I put a link. I don't have your contact, but
you could put it in the private chat if you want.
oh yeah, I could. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting that there was a couple of people. One of the readers that I sent the story to said that he really liked it, and then he said that he has some family that are teachers, and that if I wanted to know more about how to do it better, that I could talk to them. And to me, I don't know if I really want to do that. I don't know what it would do. You know what I mean? I don't know what it would do to me, because I'm not in the I don't feel like I'm in the place to get better at writing or more proper at it or something like that, because I'm not in the arena to like make lucrative fruit from it or something, I guess. So yeah, that's interesting. That's why I feel very fortunate that I don't really have what I have is I'm deeply shaped by many stories, whether it's television, film, meetings, books, or standing around talking to people. So I love stories, and I like the dance of a story. So I guess I can sense patterns, and then I could kind of mimic those patterns a little bit, because I can sense kind of like patterns in stories, or maybe like a particular way a story unfolds, or different things that they might do. I like that stuff a lot, so I kind of just play with those sorts of things.
Well, I'm curious about it because interacting with you has really I've always had this disposition against plot, narrative, like something I feel like is controlled as a shapeliness. And the more that we've been able to engage, I wondered if I've been also, I guess, in a Brett way, been pushed back to what did I learn first? Like I always thought I was booky first, but I think I did music and art first. And so I don't know about this. This is just what I'm thinking now, but like, so that when language became something that seemed like a medium to be with, it may have felt more like I'm watching for rhythms and tones and shapes more than stories. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
I certainly was drawn to poetry way more than, although I did like diaries a lot, especially like all the Westward, like Kit Carson and the Trappers and anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, I know, like, one of the things that we talked about is like you have a kind of a classical training in music, right? And so there's like those constraints are something that is like to me, when I talk with you about the medium of words, whatever that means, it's more of like a place to kind of be sandboxy, right? So you can play more with that rather than have to like stick to the time signature and the tempo and the all that stuff. So it's like this place where you get to be like you've chosen that this is a sacred medium, the word itself. Um, Even though words are often used for stories or narratives or something like that, that's cool that other people are doing that. But for you, this is a place that you can kind of rid yourself of of those um, those constraints for purposes of sanity.
Yeah, like riff more. Like
Yes.
the thing you keep aside where you can play instead of
Yeah.
obey or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I was thinking of Ken Dolly Barbie comments about that is what I think. And then your earlier conversation, I feel like I caught something. Oh, Natasha?
Yeah.
Rigel? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was clear, I don't think I finished it. I just caught it over lunch. But, you were talking about that. Well, it was such an interesting tension I was hearing between show and tell, which sounds like what you need to be able to publish, like Stephen King, right? That
Hmm.
I just need other folk to see these stories popping through my mind. Um, and and then the other side of not the constraint of demand,
Hmm.
and yet like I got to the point. That's right. Before the last meeting, I got to the point where you were talking about it feels best to me when I'm contributing to something collaborative. So it's like
Yes.
for others, and this is really the only reason I popped on was on my drive home from work just now. I was thinking once I put for Chad as the title, my brain was just pouring forth language. Like not if I tried to think of a topic or a subject matter but if I said for Chad, then it was just like kind of like it used to be with a blank page. So yeah, I just wanted to
Yeah.
say that part. But what I wanted to talk about
I love
what
that.
Ken Dolly said was he was comparing creative writing to writing in an educational institution. And I would just be surprised if anybody mostly doesn't feel constraints when writing in an educational system or a professional system for that matter of any kind versus not having limitations except for the physical strata that you're engaging.
Yeah, I feel lots of limitations when I'm writing for school.
Yeah.
I don't
You
know. I
have
don't know if
to.
that. I don't know. Yeah, it's like I feel like that's the only way you really should be doing it. But I could see somebody being artistic in their delivery of the content. Maybe I don't know, but I just feel like a teacher would maybe like, dude, just tell me the facts.
Or like I think of there's like a it's kind of like the live stream here. There's kind of like a low cost to entry, and so we could just get on. We're not in person. There's like these kind of like low constraints that so we can kind of explore more broadly, I guess. And then, but like if like so like yeah, I mean, you might have a lot to lose if you write some dumb shit at for your education. I don't know. You're paying for an education, and like you're paying for a particular outcome, And if you're approaching, let's say, more um, more kind of like nonfiction type stuff or something like this, then yeah, you will have probably more constraints.
Yeah, so
Um,
Skank is in the chat. I'd like to know when he wrote papers for school, we were talking about constraints, and we were talking, because a school paper has a different objective versus fiction writing. How did you write papers, Skank? Did you add any creative elements to your delivery of the information when you wrote papers for seminary and stuff? I'd be interested to hear your take on that. Because he's creative as hell.
yeah.
And Brett, that's what I was telling Ken. Like the ways I found all my different graduate programs was writing just the way I write. And if places were interested in me, then I was like, I think that's a place I could learn. Whereas if it didn't fit the format or the typeface or the right, like it was like I'm not gonna learn there. I mean, I can. I feel like we all can. But that really was like places, schools that just said, tell us why it matters to you that you're here, and you could do that in a poem or a composition and that's how I got through seminary and music school and grad school. And there it is.
What's up, guys?
The wise man.
Oh, hang on one sec. Oh, I'm where there. Oh, hold up. Loading Chrome browser. There we go. Okay, can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. It's been a while since I've done this. I didn't figure out how to close the one window and open the other window on my phone.
How have you been?
All right. Sort of. Thankfully, I have enough to keep me very, very busy. I saw that you called yesterday, but I was in the middle of 48 hours of work.
Yeah, I just wanted to call and send you some care if I could.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I was just literally locked up and worked for like 8 hours that day. But yeah, but I mean, for as the question, like, how do you write papers? I mean, like, you have to find something that you care about. You need to find, if you're writing a paper, that's got to be something meaningful. And so that's where things like art come into play. Because we're not just rational automatons who like spit out facts. Like, facts only matter within some sort of context, greater context of meaning.
Yeah, but Matt, I think we're talking more about. I feel like that's a given. We always try to get our students to select an element that they care about in whatever the subject matter is to guide their at least research passion. But I think we're talking more about the how the writing happens. Do you see what I mean? So,
I mean, I just don't think we can bifurcate the creative self from the rational self. I don't know.
no, but
Because I mean, like creativity, like expression comes down to like how you structure a sentence. Like there's a grammar of communication, but there's also
precisely.
like leveraging your own voice, figuring out how to kind of like gracefully weave other folks's kind of like opinions and resources to bolster your own argument. Because part of it is papers are you saying something. Like, it's artifice. It's you arranging facts material in order to create an argument. So it's ideally you're relying on things that have been been said in the past that are authoritative and reliable. I guess that's what the fact portion. But you're leveraging all of those facts in order to say a specific thing.
Right, but I'm telling you that, like in my biology and chemistry and STEM classes versus my history and honors college classes, like they're giving a format, like you methods and materials, and then you intro, and then you lit review, and then you like the wiggle room in a paper in many fields has so many constraining does that make sense to you? That like
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But I mean, I can only comment on the fields in which I've kind of participated in, and like biology is not one of them. But part of those constraints are them creating the conditions, the structures through which you can say things. So they're saying the grounds for discourse, and I imagine in the more kind of like STEM, science, mathematics heavy fields, they are more concerned purely with facts, but it's still, there are still exercises in communication.
Can
I'm talking about formal determinations versus the forms of expression of a creative individual in math. I mean, math and physics are fine. They're more like the humanities. But in bio and chem, it's like the structure is given more like, I think what Brett was talking about, the tension with, where there's a story form that has an arc and it leads to something that might be like a movie, like we get it, instead of exploration.
Yeah, I guess what I was getting at too is like, and Matt is definitely in that wheelhouse as far as what my target is, considering we're talking about like seminary papers or papers on a theologian's point of view or a church father's point of view. I guess how much of my, it's almost like the way it seems is as if they're trying to get me to, it's almost like they're trying to get me to, the way I feel, they're trying to get me to blend exegesis and eisegesis from a paper, like from an author, like my opinion on it as opposed to what he's saying, you know what I mean? And I guess that's the hard balance I'm trying to strike when I'm trying to deliver the information as I understand it. And if there's an artistic element to being able to be unique in my voice and all that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, part of the like in that specific scenario you laid out, part of the creativity is in showing how some of the things that this other authority has said has new applications in different arenas and different areas that he may not have even anticipated. And so, like, say who's one of the hot guys right now, Bovink or whatever. Like he wrote in a specific time in a specific place, and like he had specific concerns for why he wrote what he wrote and how he wrote what he wrote. And times have changed pretty dramatically since then. And so the things that he said now have a new resonance. They have new applications that he could not have envisaged. So part of it is seeing how what Bovink said whenever he wrote can apply today in ways that he may not have even anticipated.
I'm curious, for the guys who have experienced writing more academic works, or I guess that'd be the right word. Let's say non-story form, or whatever. Do you guys consider flow, rhythm, because like I love that. I even some of the text, like my favorite text book is a 12-step textbook, the basic text, and that even has there is a rhythm to it, and that's kind of that's the actual particular piece of literature that I encountered that started me on this journey of actually having care for writing or books in general. It opened me up to trust, but I also noticed that there is a rhythm to things, and I like that a lot. And
that's a good question, because that's what I was getting at. Like, I'm sure if you read, like if you're a teacher and you read someone's paper, it was, there's some papers that are going to be more compelling than others. And there's got to be a flow or rhythm that probably drew you into the paper, right? Right. That's kind of what you're saying, Chad, right?
Well, I would think here, this is what I would say to you, Brett, is if you actually treat it as if something you care for, then you will take the time to give it those kinds of attributes. Maybe not overthink it, but you'll pay attention to how you say and what you say and the way that and give it the care that you think it deserves. If it's something that you don't care about, then you probably won't put that much effort into it. Maybe, I don't know.
Unless you're Olsen.
Right.
But yeah, Brett, I was thinking I don't like the constraints of your exo-iso theory, but even that is good for writing. Like just that you find a place where it's tense that you need to solve with your own body, right? So whether it's writing or thinking, like that presents a challenge for you. I'm sorry, I'm saying like too much, but I was thinking about my seminary time, and you could find writers, right? Like we could have picked John of the Cross, and when we could have written mostly poetically. Or my thesis in seminary was mixing Chardin and Foucault and Tillich, and I can't remember the other one. Oh,
yeah. You mean like compare and contrast other authors when you're writing about a specific author?
Yeah, but
like,
you can find writers that write in the spirit of your way of writing. So it was Lewis. I was doing what are all these people's sort of layouts of cosmology, and you can mix. So I hope that one makes sense. It worked for me anyway. But like to go from Lewis's medieval maps of the world and then pull in. I hope it makes sense that Tillich and Foucault and whoever else I said. Or
that makes sense to me when I hear about people who have critiqued
Chardin.
People who have critiqued the McCarthy, Cormac McCarthy stuff. They say that his voice is basically the voice of 4 different writers, guys I've never read,
Right, but you find the voices that mate with your expression or your tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
I had never thought of this before either, Chad, but that might be like I can't often explain to people why I love Jim Harrison so much, but in my body it feels like I'm working on the farm and walking and wishing I could fuck, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's squirrely, Brett. Like in academia, I find it squirrely. Like my PhD work, I had to pick like Nishitani and Holderlin, people that are Blanchot, people that write about gaps and nothing and absence. So then you can write in an inchoate way.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still so constrained from the difference of what I would love if you just got up in the morning and before you did the morning show, wrote half a page of whatever the fuck for every day and see what it does for you. Not like in, is this going to reveal something about me? Is this going to, like, without point, just what is it like for me to write and try to remember what it was like riding a bike in the park or encountering my first alligator or nothing at all. Just what is it like when I write?
That to me is the difficulty, is deciding what to do, because like the problem here, the problem with the problem with with like the streaming stuff for me is that it's a really easy place that I can go and just kind of like get a little bit of creative tension released. And but it's very uh tempting and almost like it can be a distraction because I do still have to like as much as I want to write, I have to actually force myself to sit down and do it because it doesn't feel great all the time. It feels great once I'm done for that day, then I feel great. But like to lead up to it, I'm afraid. I feel like this is going to be shit. This is not right. But then once I start going, I can feel it doing what it does. And then when I'm done for that day, maybe it's an hour or something, I feel like great. I'm glad that happened and I feel good about it, you know. But I'm never really. It's a weird excitement. It's like it kind of reminds me of for lack of better description, it kind of reminds me of like a first date every time I sit down to do it. It's very nerve wracking. I don't feel confident in it. It feels like I'm going to wreck this. It's a waste of my life. I'm a piece of shit. Why did I even get into this? All of that stuff kind of goes through my head. And then I start going and I'm like, oh, I'm guessing. Oh, it's okay. You know?
Well, you guys, like Matt, Chad, do you guys usually, would you say you tend to go to writing when you already have a provocation?
Sometimes. Sometimes. There's like even like staring at the page is important just for feeling judged by the page and like forcing it to force me to come up with something. But I know there's you kind of like when you're kickstarting a motor, where it just takes a little while to get anything going. It's still important to kind of like show up and go near like the bike and like make sure that you're at least telling your body, I'm intending to write something down. The gas tank may be empty right now, but I would like to ride. I would like to ride. I would like to ride. And so I'm trying to find, like the gas in which to ride.
Yeah.
But I know I also just kind of have like a note, or I just use my phone to take notes. And so just kind of like scribble all kinds of nonsense when things happen.
Yeah, for me, it depends. So I was doing a lot of before I started playing with the fiction stuff, I was just doing a lot of poetry, and I have like a phone with a bunch of notes, just poems and poems and poems. And those are usually like, I could tell something is sitting down there and needs to get out. So then I start playing with it. Maybe I have like a word or something that comes to mind, or a particular feeling of an essence of something. I want to I have a question around that, and then I start to address the question through the poem, and then to me it's like trying to I'm having a relationship with that poem. Basically, a poem is very different for me. Poetry is very different. I tried doing this you saw that one stream I was doing where I brought up my word processor and doing all this shit. That was very unprovoked. I didn't know what I was going to do there. And so there was that was an improv session of vulnerability, trying to write and see what happens. And I really enjoyed it, but I'm not sure if I really like what I wrote, or if it's good or not. But it was kind of like that was very different also. But like I usually work well off of a prompt. If you give me a prompt for fiction, that helps me a lot. That can kind of like, I think what it does is it somehow ignites the contrarian in me, or the know-it-all, and it helps me to approach the story. Not that I'm trying to be a contrarian around the prompt itself, but it's the same similar spirit. It's like if I hear somebody in like one of these things say something, it can kick something up in me where I want to now respond with. It's like that. Um,
Well, that was
but
like my 4chan thing, but also during COVID, I was married to a person so I could write for like 3 years, and I sent you some of that shit. Uh, but what was so interesting during that when we had to work from home or whatever was I found all these like I've always done well with because I tended to intimately relate with artists, so I've always done well with. It's always freed me in language to work with visual and try to language the visual, but not as not about the visual, but trying to repeat ekphrasis is what it's called, whatever. But like if I look at a sculpture, I try to write the sculpture or see if language can sculpture. That's the best way. So, like when I was with a painter or a sculptor, I would see what can language do that is intimate to this, not about it, not interpretive, not anything like that. Just can language evoke the same sort of thing that happens when you stare at a painting or a sculpture or listen to music? Okay. So
Yeah, see, that's how Chad was his story, right? Like he start describing a day, and it's not any ordinary day, or it's just an ordinary day, and he's just kind of like painting this picture. And I just don't like. I'm not naturally like that. Like I'm not. I don't know. I'm just not. I guess I don't know. It's just I guess
I'm not naturally like that. I promise you.
I was just thinking that too. Like, that's incredible, beautiful thing to say for Chad.
Just gonna say, like art is artifice, as in kind of opposed to nature. It's us taking nature and doing something with it. And so it's bringing nature into the realm where it's subject to our skills. So,
man, I really want you to read that article I put in the link.
When I first started writing the story that I sent to Skank for the next zine or whatever,
coming soon.
I Skank and Daniel from OG Rose had a conversation. And Daniel was talking about I can't remember the guy's name. He wrote a book about
Robert
writing.
Olin Butler.
Yes,
he's literally on the front seat of my car. It's so anyway.
So he was describing that, and he was describing in that conversation what it means to paint a picture like you would see for a movie or something. And I was like, oh shit, I don't know if I ever was really doing that in any of my writing. And so I was kind of obsessed with this idea of like, how do I do that? And so I was playing with that idea. And that's why, but what it did was, so the reason I think, Brett, why you're seeing this is I was very focused on trying to do that. But what it did was it also, are you swimming in Frito, bro?
Yeah, basically.
What it did was it kind of blocked me up in a lot of ways because I was so focused on this idea of having to paint the picture, paint the image. I saw once on Mr. Rogers how they make balloons, and that was pretty cool. Anyhow, I had to stop doing that for part of the story, and then cut back into kind of like what I'm used to, which is like more this kind of chaotic dream sequence. You know, the dream sequence, or it's not a dream. I don't know what the hell it is, really. It's where he's in the front seat of the whatever. That's the scene that I had to write to break out of the description mode that I was in. But it was important to know, like, this whole thing about it was important to know this whole thing about description and painting a picture, because like that, it is helpful and it helps me see the scene a little bit more too. But yeah, I really had to work on that, like especially in that opening part where it talks about this. Like I didn't know what a side light was. I knew what it was, but I didn't know what it was called. And that's the windows on the side of your door. Those are called side lights. Sorry, I muted you because your Fritos are going crazy, bro.
Oh no, fair is fair. I thought it was far enough away, and that was not the case.
No, it's but like words like that were those different kinds of descriptions. I'm not naturally like that. I don't. I had to really work at doing that, and it didn't feel comfortable. But the
Mm.
point of that, Brett, I'm telling you that is like don't think for a second that these writers are just naturals. I don't think that they just are. I think maybe some of them are, but we're not trying to be great artists here. We're just trying to be play. We're playing pretend, man. We're out on recess. That's kind of how I approach it. It helps.
Or like work shit out. I mean, Chad, did you ever follow up with Robert Olam Butler?
I got his short stories about the Vietnam people,
Oh yeah,
the
that's a good
Vietnamese.
book. It's fine.
That was really good. So much so that I thought he was actually Vietnamese.
But I'm telling you, Chad, like these books, like Severance,
Okay.
both the form and the way the book is put together. So these are his
Oh,
short stories about everybody whose head has been cut off historically.
interesting.
Oh,
It's so fantastic. Or Intercourse, another form. These are super inspirations to me of there's no rules with writing, but talk about prompts. Like, I mean, what you're talking about is happening there. Like, after Butler's, I can't remember the name of that famous Vietnam War thing, but the Train Dreams guy did the same thing. Dennis finally came out with Tree of Smoke and then got all those awards. They're both so similar in that way of like finding these strange prompts. I think that's one of the things I was wondering about you and Matt in this regard was when I was asking that question about if a provocation stirs you to write versus you don't know what to do, so you write. And your answer was awesome, Matt. Like, it is what it is. Like sometimes I have no idea the fuck, and sometimes something spurs me. That's good. But I have wondered that about Chad. Like if you wait for a notion, or if you just mess around like you're playing in the sandbox, as you said for me.
Well, I could tell there's something waiting to be said. I know that. It's weird. It's a thing that I can sense. I don't Do you have that, Matt, where you can sense there's something kind of you don't maybe know what it is exactly?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, thinking to like the cyberpunk Islam bit, like there was something specifically about kind of like downloaded brain consciousnesses that is just driving me crazy that nobody ever said this thing about them. And it just seems so like intuitively obvious to me that I'm just like, why has nobody said this thing? And so I kind of knew that was kind of like one of the things I really wanted to work into whatever story I was going to tell, and then a bunch of other things that I initially thought were unrelated kind of like found a certain sort of internal magnetism and kind of like stuck themselves together. It was like for that project in particular, like I was just kind of it was sort of like a month of just kind of like spooling up a couple of different ideas, and I thought I had like 4 or 5 potential stories to pursue, and then one day I kind of like showed up to the piece of paper and watched all kind of 4 of those stories kind of arrange themselves into a single kind of like pretty coherent unified story, like right in front of my eyes. I'm just like, holy shit, they all fit together. This is crazy.
Is that like what Skojak was talking about on PBK when he was talking about how he just gets like possessed?
I have no idea because I'm not Steve Skojak, so I
No,
can't
I
tell
mean,
you.
I'm saying, did you watch that? I mean, when he was describing that, where he just like,
Mm.
like Cal was talking about his I think it was his master's paper or something
Uh,
like that. Like it just came to him, like, and he just was able to like go there and do it. And I'm like, yeah, I just not, I can't relate to that. That's why I'm asking, like, if it was kind of like when
it,
it just clicks for you and you're able to put it together, so to speak.
like sometimes you're lucky and that happens, and sometimes you're not lucky and you still have to put things on paper.
A good
Yeah.
scent from a strange mountain. That's the Thomas Olin Butler or Robert Olin Butler short story book. It was so good that I thought he's clearly lives in New Orleans and has Vietnamese, American Vietnamese, obviously,
Mm,
and he wasn't, which blew my mind.
yeah, yeah.
That blew my
Well,
mind so much, dude.
So Olin Butler, he's a Vietnam veteran and he was a translator. So like his job was to like he did really really unique job of being the guy who has to understand the language of the enemy, and it's sort of like part of his job with the military is to have a certain amount of like excessive empathy in order to kind of like understand both sides and who you're talking to. So it's really
Mhm.
just a really remarkable. I would like to think it's a pretty unique kind of like skill set that he has that gives him a really unique voice.
Yeah. I want to answer Steph's question. Maybe you guys want to tap into it a little bit. She asks, what did she ask here? Do you ever feel the characters wanting to express themselves through you? Uh, I think to me, that's just kind of what writing is in a way. But
It's almost inevitable, right?
in a way, yeah. So then the other one is the other question. Even maybe take direction you don't necessarily want to take. Oh, sorry, Mark. Come back, Mark. Okay, he came back. Um, what here? I'll just tell you a quick thing about that. For me, there were stories that I wrote that I didn't know that it was possible. Like I didn't know that was in me, but there were things that I found out about myself that that was kind of comforting. Even like some of the weird stuff that happens. It's like, oh, that's there's like this intimacy that with your own inner my own inner self that was able to connect with, which was nice. I really like that a lot. And but I don't identify with these characters. The characters that I'm typically writing are often fragments of many people made into a character. Um, it might be somebody I've met in like in in person. It may be some story of somebody else I've heard of or something. But I do, yeah. This stuff has to come from somewhere. Um, yeah, Mark S. What's happening, dude? Welcome.
What's going on? What are we
You
doing?
We're talking about stories and writing.
And I haven't tried to write a story in a long time. So,
But
well,
you're
just about every day at work, I have to like write a narrative of what people did wrong. So, but that I hate it. I feel like all my talents are going into this machine. Not that I have great talents in that, but yeah.
see, that's the thing. This idea of the great talent is such a strange um and I think it's like I think it's this poisonous kind of inner not inner narrative that just kills.
Maybe you're so like, all right, Tom Brady, right? He did put a lot of work into his career and everything, but he had some natural gifts, and so it is what it is. But it shouldn't stop me from trying to play quarterback. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not going to be as naturally gifted as him per se, but I could still enjoy the fact that I want to play the game and have fun and try to be a good quarterback. I mean, I mean, I can respect the fact that people do have a natural, amazing gift. I just, I'm just curious because you guys are definitely wired different when it comes to the creative. And so I'm trying to find a way to tap into that, not just for my papers at school, but like the idea of attempting a fictional story and trying to tap into this imaginative to be able to describe it, to paint it, and to add that dialogue stuff that you would do and the descriptions you would do, and I'm using your story as an example to relate, you get what I'm saying there?
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, like to Stephanie's question, I would say sometimes you feel the difference between if you're mm, what did she say, Chad? Did she say, do you feel like you like channel a character? Was that kind of the question?
That they're trying to express themselves through you.
Oh, yeah, I got that. No, I was thinking more about the difference, like I'm always curious about your Jeff figure that shows up again and again. Um, or like a Dalva for Jim, right? Like, or Brown Dog. Like, I guess I felt those more of like where there's times where propel, you propel activity, and there's times where you uh, try to capture it as it's going ahead of you. That's always how I felt about characters. Like there's some that are outrunning you, and you're really just writing to what are they doing now? What are they thinking now? What are they feeling now? But they're out before you,
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other times where you feel like maybe more parts of yourself are shared with the character, and then you have to work so hard. Like I'm thinking of Stoner or Norman McLean's work or William Maxwell, which thanks Chad for reading that. But where there's intimate overlaps, they're not the same. Like it's not your life. It may be in a different time and place. It may be all kinds of things, but there's strangely much more intimacy with the way you might process being and this similar character
Mm-hmm.
compared to those ones that run through and you're just like, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling, tell me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the hard part for me is the names. That's the hardest part. I hate naming characters.
But you've got Jeff.
I know, like it's like Jeff. It's like all the plants in my house were named the same because I heard somewhere if you talk to your plants, it will grow nice or something like this. So I was like, well, I'm supposed to name these sons of bitches. So I named them all Steve. All the plants were named Steve.
That's hilarious.
And so like Jeff just seems to be the stock name that is can come up from time to time, but I feel like the name is important for some reason.
What the hell happened to me today when I was waiting for a meeting and thought for Chad, and then it blows open, right? Like, I don't know what's going to come out of that paper, but it was a prompt of yours, really, of if I'm writing for somebody else, it comes easy. And I thought, Oh shit! I never tried. I mean, I write a lot of letters, physical letters,
Oh,
and I
those are great.
probably write better that way. But they're not. They're usually directed, whereas this one felt like just thinking for Chad made me follow mysteries I don't know in a different way. I don't know how else to say it.
I think that's super interesting and important because part of the thing we're always kind of struggling with, especially if the thing is formless, is sort of like you got to care about it somehow. You got to give it some kind of like direction. And so knowing who you're talking to is helpful. Because I mean, like how I'd express myself to, Chad versus Mark versus Bison versus Brett, especially as we kind of get to each other more, like it's going to be different. And so, because different friendships call different things out of me. So, in some sense, like knowing who am I talking to, kind of this track already laid between us, which things can go between, if that makes sense. So, like, there's already a little bit of a path to kind of let the doors open.
Yeah, I love that. It makes me think of if you read through like Wendell Berry or Stafford's poems, and when Wendell Berry's talking about his wife or his farm, the language is so different than when he's addressing the government or the mad farmer or the. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You could tell Stephen King. You could tell that his first reader is probably has a lot to do with the quality of his work. So his first reader is his wife, and actually, the book on writing is. I love that book. I don't know if you guys have read that, but that book is. It's supposed to be a book about writing, but really, it's a book. It's a love story to his wife. Really, that's what I hear when I read that book, and yeah, I like the idea of or the practice of. I mean, that's why I love doing like any of this stuff around here. It's like it's very friend oriented. It's we're gonna share something, whatever. It's like that to me is what makes it all worth it. Because I couldn't imagine, honestly, sitting and writing all this stuff so it can sit and never be seen. And I can't imagine writing anything that would make enough people's heads turn to want to pay for it. So I'm gonna just, of course, this is gonna be for, and also to encourage others. Like that's the big thing. Like I would love to hear what Brett would write if he were to sit down and just play play pretend as an author. Like really embody that. Like that idea is it's an honest idea. That's the other thing. It's an honest way to do it.
I that's an interesting thought of a definite an audience that you're writing for, whether it's a certain person or a couple people, even if you never even tell them, even if they never even know, there's definitely been times, because I haven't been writing fiction, but I've been working on music, and there's been times where it's like there's certain situations I have in mind, but it's like I'm not addressing it directly, and it's like John Lennon, that song "Beautiful Boy" for his son, the song is great, and but it's like everybody likes that song, but it was written for one person, or and then Paul McCartney wrote the other song about his other son, "Hey Jude." Everybody likes that. Well, I don't know if everybody likes it, but yeah, it's like if you write something for distinctive audience, that's an interesting way to go about it. But also there's those times where something there isn't even a definite audience in mind. You're just, like you don't even know who the audience is. I don't know if you ever had the experience.
You know what it reminds me of, Chad and Mark, is it reminds me of, and I don't know if you guys ever actually did this, but you know how there's certain amends that you just couldn't, you're just not going to be able to see that person. They died, or or something, where you had to write a letter of an amends.
Mhm.
I wonder if that kind of ties into the idea.
Sure.
Well, I think it's so interesting because I feel like that's what Chad was saying this
Hmm.
afternoon about if it's for some, like, I feel like it could be far distant what it's for. Like I've been working on a project for a long time that's just for Beatrice. It's like everything I've loved in my life. So like Dante's Beatrice, but anyway, I do you guys, in the spirit of Rigel, do you mind if I read something that I found today?
Please.
All right. So I had this student at the end of the day that needed a particular book, and I went up in the library to help him find it. And then I found a book I didn't have by Borges called The Atlas. And this sentence has haunted me ever since, so I checked it out. But the sentence goes, each and every man, we could say person, is a discoverer. He begins by discovering bitterness, saltiness, concavity, smoothness, harshness, the 7 colors of the rainbow, the 20-some letters of any alphabet. And then he goes on to visages, maps, animals, and stars, and ends with doubt or with faith and the almost total certainty of his own ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of feels like that sentence feels like the roiling thing that's waiting to be said. That's what that feels like to me. Like, because I have like right now I have this this like question about well, it just feels like life. It's like when you just ponder, when you just sit there, sometimes you're like, "Oh, what the fuck," or something. You're just like, "What?" And to me, that kind of feels like creative energy to me, and um, and I feel like what's weird is there is a hope that I have connected to it. Like this, if I can approach whatever the question is that's roiling, if I can approach that, maybe it can help um, somehow. Um, but yeah, like it's like I was talking with you about this idea of American and what that means to me, and how like it's very it's a weird thing that is very much a part of, like, I feel, to me, my humanity is very closely linked to my American identity, and I don't really know what that means, but it's something that I can't unfeel or something, and whatever that is something that's driving all of it somehow, and I want to help those other people who have that same feeling get closer to whatever it is the question is that's within them, and that is the thing that I want to circle around and talk about somehow.
Dude, I
And
don't want to be too cliche TLC, but I just, you know, I just discovered C.S. Lewis in my 40s, and that's what I've been experiencing reading C.S. Lewis. Like, yeah, I've read like 10 of his books in the past year and a half, and and then last night I had a dream that I was like driving on the highway and there was a lion, and it was just like, but it was normal, like one of those dreams where something weird is just normal, you know? It's like, oh yeah, there's that lion, and then I drove around and it was just like mauling and killing children. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's like because I'm reading Narnia. And it's some weird thing going on in my head, you know? It was like some satanic inversion of Narnia going on in my dream. But dude, yeah, I don't know, there's something that C.S. Lewis does, and I don't know exactly what it is, but it seems to, it's like, I think that, you know, because Chad, you always say that you always claim that you don't care about forms, that you don't study forms.
Mhm.
And sometimes I wonder if you're lying, but I don't think you are, because like some of your music has definite forms and all that stuff, and but because but I like forms. I like different poetic structures and things like that. You know, I think they're interesting, and I like a little bit of music theory and everything. Uh, and I almost feel like without the form, the content can't even come through. You need some form a lot of the time. So, but then if you're too obsessed with form, then the content is like soulless, you know, if you're too obsessed with form. But then if all you're about is the content with no focus on the form, then it's like gibberish, or it's just it's uh it's unorganized. So it's like you have these two things, but then they come together in this mysterious way. It's a way that's almost ineffable, that you cannot even, like, even if you study forms forever, you can't, I don't know, maybe you can, but you can't really explain how it happens when there's something else going on that's neither content or form, that's like touching you, you know? Uh, and I've felt that way reading some C.S. Lewis stuff. Like there's something deeply psychological going on, and maybe he did know some story tricks to do that. Like not even just talking about psychology, just in his, like something encountering. And like the preacher at my church, he has this way of like going through this cycle with his sermons. And one time I went up to him and I was like, dude, I don't know what you're doing, but there's something about the way you're preaching that is, it's awesome. And I don't know what it is. And he's like, oh yeah, I use this. And he like pulled out this diagram, and it's like a circle, and it has these steps that you go on, you know? And so it's almost like there's these psychological tricks, but I guess that's a type of form as well, you know? But so yeah, it's like I think that a lot of the time, if you're zoned in to what you're wanting to do, and you know how to use the form and content well enough, then you can convey this other level, you know? I don't know if that makes, well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I ever said I don't care about form or something like that. I don't know if I couldn't say, like, I couldn't explain what I'm playing with when I'm doing this stuff. Like but I'm not, I don't think form itself is well, okay, if I, like, let's say if I was going to do like screw tape letters, right? There's a form to that, right? Which is a letter. You're writing a letter, and you're playing a character who has, you know, who has deep knowledge about another character, along with all the other stuff. But he's also, but as the writer, like he has deep human understanding about people. So like you can't just like go off and like in like you there's a form there, right? You're doing the letter. You can't just like all of a sudden break into like whatever poem or start telling a detective story in the middle of a screw tape letter. Like it like there's what I mean? Like so there is what I'm trying to say is I care about form. I just don't know what it is exactly. I'm not like paying attention to I wouldn't even know how to describe it really. So
Yeah, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. There was something you said, and it wasn't even the word form. It was like music theory. I think we were talking
sure.
about music theory. And
Yeah,
it's like you're like, oh, and you told me like, yeah, I don't even know anything about music theory. And I'm just thinking like, well, I'm listening to you play, and I know what you're playing, and it seems like you know what you're doing.
no, because like
That's kind of what I meant.
you said like that that there's like these chords that go together in a particular way. I'm like, I've never heard of that. I don't even know nothing about that. No, it blew my mind, which is kind of cool. I feel like if I would know that, maybe that would have helped me a bit, though.
But I think I was telling you that I felt like you did know that because you were doing that anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You were using them in whatever.
I love that crap, Mark. But did you watch the Luke thing this morning?
I didn't.
It's all right. But I think I feel like there was a bunch of crap that happened in that was like about the same stuff that you're talking about, where there's a formal element of just everything you said. That last like however long you talked was so good, but it felt like such a clearer presentation of what happens when you have to make a letter sound or play a note on a instrument or address another person. That becomes formal, right? And so the person that Luke was playing was talking very much about these Greek concepts of like logos and psyche and spirit and that combo that's mysterious. How much form do you need? How much freedom do you need in order for it? And for me, this is riddling through just an early conversation with Chad, where like you said, Mark, you said that if you don't have enough form, then it's gibberish. And like I think a lot of my writing has been gibberish because it's free form exploration. So it'd be more like not following the trails if we were wandering into the wilderness and we don't know where we are at any given time. But there's not even enough for me to message another person about. I love that tension that you're talking about. And then the other part that hit me very much was that kind of automated feeling we have that if somebody knows how to put mystery into relative form so that it stays mystery, but it has enough formal elements that we can feel the mystery. So I'm thinking of sunsets or this whole trip I just was on, there was so often where there were no words for me. I was just shaking my head and looking at landscapes. I couldn't write it down in my notebook. I couldn't anything, like from the antelope to the mountains to the vastness. I really, no formal attributes worked. So I was just quiet. But I can read books where people actually activate that vastness for me through forms. It's crazy. It's crazy making. But I loved how you exposed that tension, but then you also exposed that we find that we think we might be being tricked if that vastness is exposed through form. You know, like you said, well, maybe he just, about Lewis, maybe he just knows how to do this so that I feel that shit.
And I'm like, I said this about movies earlier today. I sign up for that. That's what I'm signing up for. I want to be manipulated by good writers. That's what I'm doing. I want to be able, if they know what they're doing, that's awesome, dude, because I like I go on a roller coaster because I like the way that it makes me feel when I'm on the roller coaster. I like that it's scary. I like that it's fast. I like that it's all that stuff. And I do the same thing when I'm listening to fiction or listening to music.
I
Like,
was going to say with music, you're totally that way. Like if
yeah,
it moves me and does the thing, and that's how I am with like Devil's Tower, the Black Hills. Like,
yeah.
that's form I'm looking at, right? It's landscape. And it blows me away, and I'm happy to be blown away by it.
Yeah, and I'm not willing to say like, oh, it's because the guy has a formula that it's bad or something. It's like, no, dude, fucking ride the formula. If you could do it. I
Yeah,
think
I don't
that.
know. I don't know if I'd use that word though. Maybe it's the baggage that manipulation has, but like I think of C.S. Lewis, right? And I mean, I don't really feel like he's manipulating me, but he's definitely transcending me into this space that he's invented and created. And he has a purpose for sure, you know. So
Yeah,
an
yeah,
objective, I don't know.
well, yeah, and I think that's like about the movies. It's like, well, I know his purpose, so all right, I'm open to it. I'm gonna go with them if I can, because I've been, like with all the music I used to listen to when I was younger. Sometimes I like there's been times lately when I heard some music I listened to, like punk rock, when I was 16 or something, and it really kind of scares me just how much I let it
Yeah.
like get into my subconscious and my you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like it's almost like I agree with Plato that some people shouldn't be allowed to listen to certain scales because it can really like affect you.
Mhm.
It probably depends on your makeup too. I mean, if I'm easily swayed in a regard like that, or at least maybe because I was, it's probably why I'm so resistant to, you know. So like I'm being very choosy on who I trust their uh they're transcending me, or they're whisking me off into this world of theirs. Do I trust them in the world they're taking me to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like admitting a certain kind of vulnerability. I think that's a good thing to admit. that we are vulnerable. We can be vulnerable and taken. I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, I still like. I could put on like, well, like Meatloaf's. I would do anything for love. I fucking love that song, dude. I still love that song, and that brings out a particular. It helps me tap into a particular aspect of my masculinity that I like. That I think that's a good that like for me that's. And then other people might hear that song and just say, "Well, that shit's annoying," and it's just got that repeating chorus and stuff. But for me, that song is great masculine exercise. Skank, what did you just say?
Sorry, I was off cam for a minute, or off headphones for a minute, not dealing with, but talking to a housemate. So I'm completely out of the thread.
Oh, good, good.
Yes,
That's important.
Yes. I have a lot of dirty mugs that I've left in my car that I need to clean. That's what's up in Skankland.
Okay.
It's here we go. My Big Bend National Park mug.
Skank with the dirty mug.
Yeah. Who knew? I'm also
And you
prepping
said-
my water reserves for our little camping not boondoggle, hullabaloo next weekend. So
How often do you guys do that?
I mean, out here, our greater kind of Pacific Northwest crew does it probably every 2 to 3 months.
Nice.
But again, this is the slightly bigger one, the Pacific Northwest Pilgrimage. We got a couple folks coming in from all sorts of out of state places. Some of whom are coming in early, so I'm starting the party early on Monday.
I'm gonna try and experiment with you guys. So
yeah, I heard you're getting your campfire going. Oh shoot, that's funny.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be great. This guy's gonna show up. Hang on a second.
Mr.
You know, I feel like I dropped the ball the last ingression protocol. I feel like and you don't have to lie to make me feel good, but my pork belly was subpar. And yeah, I don't know what I want to bring something for the next one.
Nothing does a better job of inducing FOMO in me than hearing the barbecue menu that I'm missing out on.
I'm playing with too much internet.
What are you doing, Chad?
Let's see. I'm bringing Ezra into here, or whether he likes it or not.
Well, you can kidnap somebody on the StreamYard.
No, he's vibing right now.
Oh.
Wait, are you dragging us onto his stream? This is some fancy pants stuff. Golly.
Yeah, I don't even know how to do that.
You know what? That would be pretty funny if you just went up to random people on the street and just said, "Hey, you're on a live stream. Say something." Just follow them around.
Skank pretty much does that all the time when he's doing his balloon stuff.
I'm generally pretty good about not dragging random people onto the internet.
No, but
I can barely fit my face in the stream half the time.
No, but it was funny when you were trying to talk to us and like somebody was trying to talk to you and you're trying to answer them and it's like, dude, you're on my live stream, bro.
I trust you guys to mute me. It's good. It's important you guys know where you rank on the totem pole next to like 5-year-olds.
Man, my internet sucks, bro.
All right, I gotta go. I have company. Can I read one last thing for Luke Thompson?
Please do. And then
It's
I'm going
also
to shut her
from
down.
it's also from Borges and from the Atlas.
Final thought.
Oh shit! It's not mine. Thanks be to God.
Make it
It's
count.
It's called The Beginning. Two Greeks converse, perhaps Socrates and Parmenides. It is best if we never know their names. In that way, the story will be simpler and more mysterious. The theme of the dialogue is abstract. They sometimes allude to myths in which they both disbelieve. The reasons they allege may abound in fallacies, and they do not come to a conclusion. They do not polemicize, and they do not want to persuade or be persuaded. They do not think in terms of winning or losing. They are in agreement on a single point. They know that discussion is the not impossible way to find truth. Free of myth and metaphor, they think or attempt to think. We shall never know their names. This conversation between two unknowns someplace in Greece is the capital event in history. They have forgotten prayer and magic. Jorge Luis Borges.
Nice.
Thanks, guys. Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you later.
See you.
Peace.
All right. Well, you guys
Thanks,
want to
Chad.
have any last words you'd like to share before we roll out? Nope.
No, not particularly.
No, yeah, I do.
Okay.
Rob says Mark needs more art therapy. Now, I don't know if he means that I need to go to therapy or I need to do another episode of my show called Art Therapy.
Both and.
Because I plan on doing more episodes. I try not to make public statements on my opinion on art therapy itself. But my show, I've got like people lined up that I want to talk to, but the problem is I hate making plans, and you know what I mean. But I plan to eventually have a therapy session with many people. So and Rob, I would love to have if he wants to,
All right.
you know, it'd be great. So, and
That would be
basically lots
awesome.
of people. I mean, I'd like to talk to Bison about. I remember one night you were talking about the subject of studio bands versus road bands, and that's an interesting concept thing to me. So, yeah.
If I had last words, Chad, it would be blessings, Matt, to the whatever they're called, incursion protocol. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I hope
We're
that's
just
beautiful,
camping.
man. I hope it's beautiful.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah,
very
thank you.
excited.
I wish I could be.
Well, we're gonna have a real campfire
Yeah.
and potato salad. So
I also wish I could be there, Chad. Believe me.
there'll be more. All right. Well, Matt, thank you.
This is the best. This is the best. Thanks. Peace, Skank, and Bison and Chad.
Thank you.
That's good to see you all. Hope to see you again soon.
Toodles.
Peace.
That's it.
I can't find it.